Back guys, so in the last video we make a call to eBay API and we get our token now, and we have the token. What we are going to do now, we are going to call the eBay API. So if I remember, let me see if I can bring that in this discussion where we okay. So what we're gonna do, let me just see if I can. So I'll just open the Postman later, but right now what we are going to do, we get the token from eBay API, and now we are ready to make a connection to the eBay API, right? To get the listing based on our query. So in order to do it, let's come in here and now let me just do the changes. Now we are going to run the full code because we're gonna see all the data which is returning from the eBay. So in here, I'm going to now remove these two because these two we did it temporarily. And like I mentioned, so we go from bottom to top. We are now calling procure product and we are passing the query, the keyword that we want to search with the flag. And like I mentioned, I just put a flag here to just making different calls, but it really depends upon what kind of business problem we are solving. The logic will change. So if you are passing one, that means it's going to call the eBay API. So eBay procurement agent, that's my store procedure that I have written, and I'm passing the keyword in the form of query variable. And let's jump on this guy and see. So like I mentioned, it's a bridge or it's a main handler which get the data from eBay through its API, and then it passed it to the LLM for the analysis based on our prompt, right? So we're going to look at the first part. So you can see in here, we are calling search eBay product because that's our first goal. We're going to get the products from eBay. So that's why I call this store procedure as search underscore eBay underscore product. So let's jump on the search underscore eBay underscore product. And if you look at this search eBay underscore product, the very first thing we are getting the token from the eBay API. And in the previous video, we have already discussed how we are getting the token from eBay API. So now we have the JWT token that we got as part of our last video, and we have stored. So you can see the get eBay token. That's the function we have discussed, or procedure that we have discussed in the in the last video, and we are returning a value. Excuse me, from it, and that value is actually the token, because if you look at in here, we are storing the token. So we got the token as part of the get eBay token procedure. You can see we are returning this token to the calling store procedure, which is the search eBay product. So that the very first command, we got the token, and now I have printed that token, and you can see in here that we can see this token coming on the screen just for our understanding. Now we have the token. We are going to make another call the same way because that's the pattern how we can call any API that we want to communicate. So in here, we have the header, and now you can see the authorization has been changed, and we are not passing the ID and secret, but we are passing the bearer token, and that's the token which we got as part of our previous call, right? Content type is the application, and the outcome is going to be application slash JSON. So we're gonna get the outcome in the format of JSON, right? Parameters we are passing to. So these are all the section that we have seen in the Postman video. The only thing in here, whatever we are seeing over there to do through the UI, now we are coding them so we can use them as part of our solution, right? So parameter params, where we pass the parameter, and in here you can see we are passing queue and limit. Queue actually mentioned that what keyword we are trying to search as part of that API, and limit we are passing that we only need 20 items as the outcome of the successful run, right? Now Once all these settings are ready, what we're gonna do, we're gonna make a get call, and you can see in here we are passing the API that we have passed in the Postman as well. So you can see it is referring to sandbox because we are not using the production. We are using the sandbox API, and we are searching. We are calling it searching interface, and we are passing our query as well as the limit, right? So you can see we can pass the header because header contains our token that will authenticate us, and then we are also passing parameters which allow us to search the data from the eBay API portal. Now, once we run it, we're gonna get the results, and the outcome we know it's already gonna come in the format of JSON, right? So we need to process it. So because the outcome might have some additional information, and I'm gonna show you that information once we get the result from the eBay. We need to process it because what information we need that is embedded in the JSON, but the whole JSON is not needed because we are not interested on all other attributes that is coming as part of the mechanics of the eBay API. We can ignore them. All we are interested to the attributes which we need for our solution or for our smart agent, right? So in here we can see we are processing the JSON, the response that actually consists of the JSON, and we are getting the information from the item summaries attribute because that's the section which contains the data which we are interested. And the question arises, how would I know? It's very simple. Once you get the result, you can explore the JSON file into any JSON editor, and you can see where that information sits which you need it, right? And based on that, you can see what section you want to read out, and you can pass the section name, and the system will return you all the data under that section, like what we are doing in here, because we need to process it. That's why we instead of saving it somewhere, I'm directly passing it to for loop because I want to get each and every item, because each item is more like a row, and that row gonna have my attributes that I'm interested in. Some of the attributes might be complex, might be nested, but I'm going to then break it down and get the child attribute out of the nested attribute, but we'll see it in a moment. So you can see some of the attributes are self-explanatory, like item ID, title, leaf category ID. These are all the attributes I'm getting as part of the successful run for my API call, right? And some of them, price is very important because I want to use the price to do the calculation to find out the top 5 items. Currency is important as well. Seller feedback score is important if we have any particular rule from the business that use the seller feedback to identify that how it can impact on the popularity of the item. Condition, shipping cost is important as well, that if the customer, the seller is offering free shipping or is offering some price as part of the shipping cost. Shipping cost type, we are getting that information. So you can see some of the attributes so in here. So for example, shipping option, you can see shipping cost is not coming directly. It is part of the complex attribute which has multiple, I would say, sub attributes. So we are getting it. So for example, in shipping option, we have a child attribute shipping cost that we are getting from the main attribute. The same pattern we follow, that shipping option we are getting because they only have one value, so that's why we are just indexing on the first item. If it has a multiple item, that's going to be a different process how we can extract that data, right? So buying options, you can see we are getting that buying option, and it shows that it's going to be a list as well. Item origin date, that will tell us that how old that item is, and that sometimes help us in analyzing that once we are ranking the top 5, if the item is too old, that means we can exclude it because it might not be relevant. Top rated by experience, priority listing, listing marketplace ID. So these are all other attributes that we are interested in, and we're gonna see it, right? So once we store all these attribute, and you can see I'm appending them in the result, and that result is the list that we are I'm using it, right? So And after that, what I will do, I will just print the raw JSON on the screen so you can easily see that what kind of outcome API the eBay API is returning to us. And also what I'm going to do, I'm just going to not in here, but I think in the next statement where I'm calling this function, I'm going to print the process results, which I'm returning as part of the result variable, and that what I'm receiving in here. So you can see once we call the search eBay products, it's gonna return us the process JSON results, which we have just discussed as part of this section, right? So that is going to return to this function, and once we see in here we can see what kind of outcome we are getting from the eBay API, and then we take the next step. So that will cover first part where we are getting the result based on the JWT token as well as our query that we are passing to the eBay API, and we are getting the result. So let's run it and I'll show you in step by step, because I don't want to print everything on the screen, otherwise it's going to be very ugly due to space. So let me just comment all these, because at this stage I'm not even going to print the token. What I will do, sorry, I'll just get the token and I will print the raw results. So you can see in here, and by the way, I need to discuss this export to JSON, but I will do it in the separate video. We are also saving the output in the raw file, and that raw file we're gonna send it to our Azure storage. So where we can consume it to other solution as well. And if I quickly jump back to the diagram, so I'm saving the JSON file in here. So that's 7A and step 8. So I'm saving the JSON file because later on what I'll do, I'll show you how you can send that JSON file directly to your Azure storage, from where it can be consumed by your Power BI or any other solution that required that data set, right? So that's the part that we have just seen, but we haven't discussed it because it's gonna come at the later stage. So I leave that as it is because at the end I'll show you that JSON file as well. So JSON file saved on the location. We are getting the response.json raw JSON in the JSON underscore data, and we are printing it on the screen, right? So let me just, yeah. So we are just printing raw JSON file, and then just to make things a bit cleaner so you can see the output properly. Just going to, yeah, I think that's better. All right, let's see what we are going to now see on the screen. We are not searching and we are getting the listing. I think we are good now. And let me just quickly check. We are not returning yet. We are just running the full code now. So let's run the code. You can see this time we are not seeing any token because the token has been generated previously. Oh, what is printing the token? Let me quickly see. I think we have commented it. Oh, I think token has been printed as part of this function. Yeah, we are printing, sorry, we are printing the token in here as well. So let me just take this command out. In the next run, we'll not see the token. And you can see that's the raw JSON file that we are getting from the eBay API. So let me just run one more time. So let me just clear it. Oops. Let me clear, and now let me just run it again one more time. Now this time it's not going to print any token. So you can see eBay is searching, we are searching eBay for the query and that query is for phone, right? And now That's the raw. And like I mentioned, we have many other attributes which are coming as part of the API outcome, and we not interested. So you can see we are interested in the item summary where we are getting the item data set, right? And that's what I have mentioned. You can find out what information you need by just eyeballing on the results, right? So it's not very difficult that we can easily look at the JSON data set which is returning from the API, and we find out what section we need as part of our solution and what section we can ignore it. I did exactly the same. So because we have saved it in the sorry, because we have saved it in the location as well. So I'm just going to show you. So that's the file that contained that JSON data set, and you can see it has its own timestamp, which we can later on process once we load it into the Azure data storage. Because from there, based on that timestamp, we can automatically consume and we can use it into the downstream systems. So in here, you can see we do have, and what I'm going to do first, let me just show you if I can validate the whole JSON. Yeah, it's a valid. So you can see it's a valid JSON. So that's good, but you can see it has all other options as well. Uh, like it has the href, and it has the total items that has been returned. Inside also contain the limit that we passed on, offset, and then we have that section. And if you remember, I told you the data set we are interested under the section of item summary. That's why we are asking to return us the data which is under the item summary, and that's where we are passing item summary, and the command gonna return us all the data which is sitting under this section, right? So let's jump back to the code. And now the second step, what we are going to do. So we have already seen the raw JSON, right? And we have also seen it in the file as well. So what I'm going to do now, and even let me just show you if I can just grab this. And I would prefer to save it separately instead of doing this, because that's not going to be very efficient way. And I'll show you later how we can do it, but just for the sake of demo, let me just grab, because that's the section which I'm interested, and I'm going to just load and validate. So my JSON is still valid, but now this time I have a clean item data set which is coming from the eBay API. So you can see in here all the items are nicely section and displayed, and I can see item ID, title, leaf category ID. So that's where we are reading all the information. And if you have done the API development in the past, you are familiar with all these things, because these are all core of the API. And in the integration and the data world, API integration is very critical, because most of the system, due to security, they are not open, like they won't allow us to talk to their databases. We generally communicate to the API interfaces to get the data, and then we process it, right? And this data generally come into the JSON format, and we process it, and then we consume it onto our own system for further steps. So in this way, you're not only going to learn the GenAI LLM integration, but you also have a good understanding how we use the API or how we use the integration. So this data set looks good. We have all the items. The only thing, because we are talking to the staging environment, that's why we are only getting 13 data item instead of 20. And keep in mind, once you run in the production, the results going to be very different. All right. So let me just uh, move back, and one last thing I'm going to show you now before I close this video. We have already seen the raw JSON. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to now show you. Let me just comment this, because I'm not going to print any raw JSON, because I've already processed it, and that processed data I have stored into the results, right? So what I'll do, and I'm returning these results to the calling function, which is my eBay procurement agent, because it's going to get this output and it's going to pass it to the LLM as part of alongside with the prompt. And based on the prompt and the data set, the LLM is going to generate its own recommendation, which is going to be top 5 items, right? We will see it in the later video. So let me just see if I can, yeah, searching for eBay, we got the listing, and yeah, so these are the raw listing, right? So that's where I'm now printing it on the screen, right? So this time you're not going to see the href, the URL and all these things, right? So let's see. Let me just yeah, and now if I run it, there we go. So you can see in here, let me just copy that. I just need to, and I'll just show you just from the confirmation perspective that we are getting the similar data set that we have seen. Yeah, raw listing is starting from here, right? And hopefully it will. See if I can fix that, because I think I know, because it's not going to create any trouble once we pass it. Once we pass it to the LLM or our model, because for somehow I think expecting string or got, there's something missing that is causing this formatting issue. By the way, it's only a formatting issue because we remove all the extra sections out of this API, out of this uh, outcome of the API call, right? But anyway, this is working, because what I'm going to show you, I'm going to show you in the next video that how we are passing it. And once we write it into, what I'll do, I'll also write this one into a file and we take it from there. Maybe because I'm copying and pasting from the prompt, it might not copying it correctly, right? So but we'll see in the next video. So that's how you can talk to the API. And by the way, it's not the eBay API that follow this pattern. Now based on this pattern, you can talk to any API that you want that is using JWT authentication, regardless whether it's going to be eBay, it's going to be Amazon, it's going to be even within your organization. You have some solution that is interacting with the outside world through APIs, or even you have external APIs or government APIs that allow you to communicate using the JWT token. You can apply the same logic, same technique to establish that connection. So hopefully that makes sense, and that video will help you to move forward in your API learning journey. And stay tuned, because now the most interesting part is going to start, where we are about to communicate with our LLMs. And before that, obviously, I'm gonna do 1 or 2 videos just to prepare a ground, how we are interacting, what are the outcome we are expecting, why data is still very important while you're talking to the Gen AI. Is not going to resolve anything automatically. We still need to focus on the data to address all these things. I'm gonna discuss it in the upcoming video. So thanks for watching and stay tuned. More to come.